Hello and welcome to Ledgercast. My name is Brian Krogsgaard. I'm here with Josh Olsowich. Hey, Josh.
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
It's going well. And you know what? Dude, market's been fun, a little scary at times, but overall good, enjoyable. Also enjoyable trading on Matcha. You can go to ledgerstatus.com/Matcha to check it out today. You can trade there today. I swear, I don't know how many times I have to say this, Josh. This is the best possible way to trade on a DEX. This is not, Brian shilling his bags. This is not, because they're a podcast sponsor. This is me, human being, likes to trade on DEXs. If you're trading ETH DEXs, or BSC by the way, if you're trading ETH DEXs, you're spending a lot of money on fees no matter what. But Matcha is going to get you the best price every single time. No doubt. It is the only way to get the best price because they pool liquidity from everywhere that you can get it. It doesn't matter if it's on Bancor, if it's on freaking Sushi or Uniswap, Uniswap V2 or Uniswap V3. It doesn't matter if it's on Kyber. It doesn't matter if it gets filled by the 0x protocol, which it's doing more and more because the pricing is more and more competitive. It doesn't matter. They get the best price. You approve your tokens all in one place. It's the best interface. It's the best tool that you can use for a DEX. They even have a BSC version. So, shill aside, sponsor aside, whatever aside, it's the best freaking place to trade on a DEX. Get it together. Try it today.
This is the longest ad read I've heard.
It's not. That's because I expanded it. It's a freebie beyond the ad read because I have these people in my comments that are like, man, I wish I just would have listened to you when you talked about Macho on the podcast. And instead I was like, just get on with it and get to the show. This is show content. Okay. Best place to trade.
I actually was going to dump my 1-inch on Matcha yesterday. I didn't yet. I still have it, but
yeah. Well, even on Matcha, this is any DEX, like ETH fees were absolutely insane as that freaking Shiba coin was going nuts because all of ETH was clogged up and it was many hundreds of dollars per trade if you're trying to do anything. So that's not Matcha's fault. But what's great is they are going to have like full kind of cross-chain, cross-layer integrations. So once there's great like layer 2 liquidity, they'll be able to blend all that. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I'm excited.
Yeah, more and more of these DEXs.
Julius says this show is now called MatchaCast. No, but we do our trading on a DEX. So when we were looking for a sponsor, we were like, who's doing cool stuff in DeFi and decentralized finance? And that's why Matcha and Token Sets are those sponsors. So that's why.
Well, guys, I think that's all the time we have today. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for coming to MatchaCast.
No, what I was going to say is more and more of these DEXs are going multi-chain, which makes sense. Uniswap's probably never going to go multi-chain. They're ETH ride or die. Whereas Sushi, their strength might be multi-chain,
Yeah.
DRX, their strength is going to be multi-chain. All these other projects that are multi-chain, good for them. That's what they should do.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is when you are trying to bridge the liquidity between them all. So, yeah, like you use... you make an order, and then does that order execute just on the chain that you make it from? Do you have a way of having money on different chains that executes where it's cheapest? Like, how do you bridge the liquidity? How do you, between chains, how do you choose which one's appropriate? Like, what are the various rule sets? One of the big themes of DeFi over the next couple of years is going to be, like, how layer 1 and layer 2 work together, how layer 2s and side chains work together. And it's very interesting what's going to happen. But I'm very bullish on various layer 2 solutions, especially like the ZK ones, especially if they can accomplish some degree of EVM compatibility. That's going to be the big winner in my mind. But
I mean, layer 2 might not even matter if we can route stuff through some random chain, right?
Like yeah, well, that's still layer 2. That's like I consider side chains like their own, like a layer 1.5. You know what I mean? Like BSC is a Ethereum side chain, as a particular take that I have sometimes. Like Matic is a Ethereum side chain. Anyway, the Bit Baron says he's beating himself for selling a third of his Matic at 120. Let's just go there because I was just talking to Josh about this.
You were just shilling me your wares. You had your coat. Your coat was open, sir.
I don't know.
Check out these fine watches I have.
I don't own Matic. This is in log, and it's pretty spicy. So you cannot feel bad about taking profit on the way up when you look in linear and this is what you see. Now, can this go up more? Yes, it can. We all know that. Is it a bad thing to take this into something that's, not completely parabolic vertical? No, it's never going to be a bad thing. Do not feel bad about taking partials on the way up, especially if you're rotating that to other quality assets that you feel like are lagging for good reasons or whatever else. Matic has been an amazing performer. I bought this at 11 cents and didn't hold it. I got scared out by this wick that you cannot even see on the chart anymore. So I'm the real RIP. I even thought about buying it again at 40 cents, but I was like, I don't know. Look at that long consolidation. Looks like it might break down, yada, yada. Yoink, yoink, Mega Moon. It's pretty beastly. Congrats. Yeah, but this is a sign of layer 2 things to come.
I just have a hard time, like as a buyer, which you already talked about it, but anything that looks like that since January, that's just not for me. Like Thor's another one that since January, if it's only been in a bull market since January.
Dude, that thing's up like 1,000x. Yeah. Shout out Julius also says, ledger status, you cannot feel bad about taking profit on this. Also ledger status, if I had simply held my coins, I would have $40 million and be retired. Very true. Touche. Just no regrets.
You have to be risk. What is it? You have to embrace the risk, right? If you want those big gains and the big losses, right? You have to concentrate and hold and ignore everything and be a maxi and a community member. It doesn't work out for most people most of the time.
Yeah.
It worked out for many people since January, right?
Josh, remember when we highlighted, oh man, I just ruined it. We highlighted this trade on ETH BTC and said if it comes back down to 0.055, it's like an omega buy. It didn't quite get there. It got to 0.057 and then it is now at 0.08. And it's a breath away from that target, blast through 0.055 target that we talked about. The 0.055 was our thought of like the equivalent of like 6K Bitcoin back in the day. Like just, it's going to go there. It's such obvious resistance here that it was both a magnet, but also a fake target. And we thought it might blast up to 0.084, which was the third lower high on ETH in that market. And here we are in but a week and a half. Pretty insane.
I mean, at this point,
you said you would give all your ETH away at $4,500. That's only 10% away. So are you prepared?
Let's rewind the tape. I did not say that.
Okay. What did you say?
I said I will begin to sell.
Okay. I rewound the tape.
So I will begin to sell above whatever the MA multiplier tells me to do. So at this point in time, let me just check it. It's going to be above 45 now. Let's see, 365.
I do recall. You're right. Thank you for correcting the tape.
Carry the one. Cost T. All right, it's at 47 right now.
Yeah.
Oops, wrong thing. 47 is where it sits. 48 plus. I will be more than happy to continually sell. I sold some of my ETH just yesterday. I'm just too exposed. On a move like that, if you got destroyed on your spot holdings. I'm not even talking leverage. If you felt that like I did, then make some smart decisions. That's all I'm going to say.
If you felt the pain of the dip, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, yeah. It was a really nice reminder trimmer. Like we all kind of remember like what it felt like in the past when we had those huge spikes, and it was just a reminder of what it can feel like when the bid disappears. A lot of listeners have never been through a bear market, Josh. and they think like, oh my gosh, that was so painful. How dare you make jokes right now?
I mean, you're the one who hosts a show literally called Up Only. So I'm over here telling people, look, don't be afraid to take profit. You're not paper hands. Sell a little bit. You know, if you're up 10, 20, 50x, if that's life-changing money for you, sell something. Guys, just sell it. Hold cash. It'll come back. I guarantee you. ETH isn't going to go to infinity without you. Okay. Just be smart about it. You know, this isn't investment advice, but Jesus.
Yeah, don't feel. I called it on an Up Only show. I called it practice selling, and I got made fun of by a bunch of people that are extraordinarily rich. But I was basically saying, like, if it's worth it to you to take out like 5 or 10% of your portfolio, and that'll make a big difference in your real life, do it. Don't feel bad about that, not once whatsoever. Especially if that covers your cost basis. Like if you're riding free after taking out 10% of your portfolio, then you shouldn't feel bad about that at all. It's an amazing feeling to take a little out every now and then. And, you know, you can sit there and think like, oh, well, if I just kept that out, man, market goes down 10% all the time, like on a daily basis. So just treat it like it was a bad day. Take some out on like some big day, like a big pump day, like today, and just appreciate it. Appreciate how that money feels in your real bank account, in your real life. It's nice. There are coins that are up 21% today, like Wi-Fi, which I've been very euphoric about because I was looking for this 50K breakout. So it went from 50K to 95K to 60K in about 12 hours, like you just mentioned. And that was my biggest bag at the time. So I took a 36% drawdown if I went wick to wick in my paper net worth on Wi-Fi. If like you were all in, I wasn't all in, but if that was your situation, like that would hurt. So like on a day like today, when it recovers most of that, do I think it's going higher? I do. Would I blame someone for taking 5 or 10% off the board, putting it in their real life? Not whatsoever. And Standing Boomer, thank you. Do we have a stream with tax strategies? Yes, we've talked about taxes before, back in 2019. But I want to talk about taxes real quick, Josh, because I've had people ask me, why do you never talk about the tax implications of all this? And the answer is because your tax situation is different than mine. But I'll tell you how I approach it. I approach taxes as if I'm doing short-term capital gains on 100% of my portfolio every year. That gives a lot of demands because you're being taxed at like 40% of your net profits every year. So the tax harvest is going to be extreme, and you need high volatility to outperform that. The only considerations I may make, like I did last year, would be if I think the market's not going to die. So I was bullish on BTC, and I was holding BTC from 10 or 12K. I did not sell it until January to delay my taxes, but I still took short-term capital gains tax. This is an American thing mostly. That's how I approach it. So I'm going to give up basically 40% of everything I've made this year at the end of the year. If you have long-term capital gains to consider, if you have other stuff to consider, if holding is going to be a smarter decision for you for your long-term plan, then freaking do it. We're talking about trading, not holding. You have anything to add to that, Josh?
If you don't believe in banks or fiat and all that stuff's going to go to zero, like, why are you even here, right? Just hold it and forget about it, you know?
Yeah, but we're trading because we're looking more for the like active management side. That's what this show is about.
Yeah. So ETH, I don't have anything to say. It's gonna continuously hit all-time highs. There was an interesting blog by Arthur of VipMax, previously VipMax, I guess, where he was mentioning if EIP 1559 is too deflationary, then it's gonna hurt DeFi.
Yeah, I saw Hasu refute that, and I trust Hasu over Arthur.
I don't trust anybody who wants to reorg the BTC blockchain. Sorry, Hasu. Yeah. So I trust Arthur more on that than Hasu, to be fair. But
that's fine.
It's a consideration worth considering.
Yeah. One other question somebody asked in the chat: why would you put the USD in your bank rather than yield farm it or something like that? It depends on what you're going to use that USD for. Like if you need to go buy a car, pay off some credit card debt, or pay off your student loans, then do all that stuff. Or yeah, sure, you can, like if you just want yield, you don't need the dollars, then yeah, if you want to put it aside, put it in dollars, start to risk off, and then look for a buy the dip opportunity, then that's also a great option because you can always take it out of those farms and go buy the dip if you get one that's good enough. I've referenced this many times. Sicarius on Twitter, my buddy Jack, talked about on an old episode in 2018 how during the bull market of 2017, he always felt comforted by whenever something like really pumped, he'd take 20-25% of his portfolio and put it aside whenever it felt like it was too frothy. And he didn't care if it went another 50% or whatever. And he would use that 20-25%. And whenever there was a good buy, he would then deploy it. And sometimes that liquidity that you have available gives you the best opportunities, because if you're fully deployed, you can't really do anything in the moments of panic to be able to take advantage of those dips that you wish you could buy, but you can't afford because you're already in. I feel like my monologuing has been pretty in depth today, so I need to shut up and let you talk.
I'm just taking it all in. It's good. Yeah, we talked about ETH. I mean, there's nothing else to say, really. There's no other chart I could even compare it to or look at to say anything. All I'll say is, if for all the people saying that proof of work, Elon is saying this and that about proof of work, this isn't going to just be a proof of work show. When people want to go after proof of stake, they will. So
they'll figure a way.
You're right. There will be plenty of FUD.
We'll find a way to FUD proof of stake. In terms of the next leg of the trade, could it go to 0.1? Yes. I think there will probably be some ETH rotation from 0.083, 0.084. It's just these levels are so clear on ETH. The flippening would be like 0.17. Over 0.1, the drumming for the flippening will be a constant, ever-present beat. The flippening crew will be out.
Here,
so beware.
Let's say it like this. If GBTC doesn't figure out the discount, then ETH will flip in BTC. I think that's, of all the bearish things right now, that is probably the most bearish for BTC.
Yeah, well, so GBTC should probably carry some discount based on the type of like structured product that it is. What really needs to happen is the sorry, I just got super distracted. Crypto Gypsy said, "I'm sexually overexposed to ETH." I just felt like I needed to read that comment. Take it somewhere else, buddy. Calm down. Anyway, the GBTC premium was the anomaly, not the discount. But the discount being 20% is a little absurd, right? Like, it's too high. Other structured products that have high fees, like a 2% management fee, they tend to have maybe no more than like an 8 to 10% discount to NAV. Meltem said on Tuesday on Up Only that actually they can't lower the fees based on the trust. So the only real way to lower those fees is to create a new product and like hope people switch to it, or convert to an ETF. They might be able to change the fees then.
Yeah, they basically have to fork the trust.
Yeah, the trust has got to change for it to change. So it'll probably carry some degree of discount forever, in perpetuity, unless it is able to change the fees as it switches to an ETF someday. And even when it does that, the main advantage will be instant arbitrage, basically, rather than the 6-month waiting period that occurs currently. So that trade, I mean, that really screwed up like the BlockFi type folks and those that were using it for like a whatever cash and carry type of trade.
Yeah, I think they're done forever at this point.
Yeah, that particular yield, you mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. BlockFi could just be gone.
I don't think BlockFi itself is gone, but like that 6% yield that they offer, they'll have to figure out new ways to do it. They raised money, and I think it was purely to help cover for their like cash flow adjustments to assure the yield, but they weren't getting the yield. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're basically robbing Peter to pay Paul at this point, and they're decreasing their interest rates on everything.
Yeah, I don't know all the details. I'm sure they'll be fine, but like that trade is not lasting, and I think they got squeezed out of it. And a lot of new GBTC that was still being issued 6 months ago is coming to fruition. So the question is like, what are they going to do? Are they going to dump it and push that even further? Have people capitulated out of that trade? How's it going to resolve itself? Because there's not really a lot of new demand for it. I just think it's going to take a BTC pump for like retail to come in and like get that discount to be a little lower so that those people can at least escape the trade, get liquidity out of GBTC in general. But might take some time.
I'm a change agent. I embrace the chaos. I want to see a negative 50% discount on GBTC. I want to see the quicker this goes more negative, the faster it'll get resolved in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what. I don't know, if it's ETF, if it's Barry saying, all right, I'm going to buy everything. I don't know what it's going to be, but
yeah.
This just like slow bleed is always the most bearish thing.
Josh, I want to keep talking Bitcoin because I think it was Nomad was trolling me a little bit because he was, when I said on Twitter that I've owned BTC for like 4 days all year, he was like, well, that explains the podcasts. Like all our podcast show titles are about ETH and stuff. I want to talk about BTC. You're showing the cloud in no man's land. Before we get into all the technicals of that, can we just celebrate something that happened?
Sure. What would you like to celebrate?
The 20-week moving average finally got tapped.
Oh, yeah.
For the first time since October 2020, when it rode it for a few weeks. We were above the 20-week for a very long time. And this week, we spiked below the 20-week, which is at 48.7. And now we're covering it. That is something to watch over the next couple of days. What happens with that moving average? In 2017, if you look at similar parts of the market, it always bounced off the 20-week. The one time it failed it was the end. It was game over for Bitcoin. Do I think it's game over? No. I think it's probably the best risk-reward long opportunity you've had in Bitcoin for a year almost. No, not a year. How many months ago was October? 7 months. It's the best risk-reward opportunity in 7 months for like a long-term trade. At the same time, don't tell my ETH maximalist friends this. At the same time, ETH turbo pumped and is hitting resistance on ETH BTC. It's something to think about. Could Bitcoin come and smash the Ethereum dominance levels a little bit? It could happen.
The thing that's different in 2017 is all of the FUD events sort of happened at each like crescendo in this parabolic advance, whereas here we're getting FUD events where the price is already weak. And I talked about this on Twitter too, but
it feels 2019-ish, doesn't it?
Well, Elon, anybody gets anything they want, but the price is going to do, and we've talked about this on the podcast, right? Like the price is just looking for a catalyst, whether it's Elon saying nonsense about proof of work or whatever, price is going to dump. And we had highlighted that edge to edge move for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's not like this is like so extraordinary that it's out of the question of happening, right?
Yeah.
So we did touch the 20-week. It doesn't look the same as 2017 to me. I don't know.
It looks more like distribution-ish.
I'm not completely on board with the Wyckoff distribution narrative just yet.
Our buddy Crypto Jack has been talking about that a good bit.
Yeah, and we still could be fine. The other thing to consider is the weekly Kijun. Another big level is at 35. So again, the difference here is the support levels lined up nicely in 2017, whereas here they're kind of all over the place. So I don't know. I don't feel as confident as I would have in 2017 regarding that specific support. But I agree, it's a good RR if you think we're going to 85, right? I think it's fine.
The Kijun, that 36K red line that you have on your chart, is pretty close to the 200-day moving average as well, like the simple moving average. If we were to fulfill the dump, like the full potential of the dump, that would be pretty brutal. Also a little midline on the pitchfork there.
Yeah, there's more support at 35, 36 than probably here, but yeah, I don't know. I'm very, very ambivalent, specifically looking at the cloud on the daily. We're inside of the cloud now, so there's no question that this trend is over, and now it's time to figure out if we're gonna make a new one or if we're gonna roll over completely.
You have to explain that. When you say there's no question that this trend is over, that's because the daily cloud tells you that you should basically be flat, right? Like it's not. It's telling you that this is neither sell nor full bull because not all criteria are met for the cloud to be fully bullish. Correct.
Right. So when I look at the chicken bones and I backtest these settings, this time frame, blah blah blah. The idea is the cloud captures 80% of a trend. Sometimes they're months and months and months. Sometimes they're literally 2 weeks. Sometimes they don't go anywhere. But the idea is the ones that work out pay for the ones that don't. And when all of these metrics align to tell you to open a long or open a short, that's when you take action. And when it tells you to stay out, you don't do anything. So we're in the no trade zone right now.
Yeah. River Moon asks how's it shake up on the weekly.
The weekly cloud.
Yeah, the weekly cloud still tells you to stay in, but you switching those time frames and trying to make a trade based on multiple becomes very difficult.
Yeah, you can't. It's just like we'll look at ETH on the daily, but if I'm looking at this on the weekly cloud, I'm just going to say, all right, I'm going to sit out and put bids at 35.
Right.
You know, if I'm going to trade on that high of a time frame.
And for reference, go back to 2017 on the cloud. Like the market was over. You know, like it got kind of close to the Keynesian a couple times, but that's such a slow moving average on a weekly time frame that by the time it failed it and told you to get out, like it was truly in the bear market, and you'd already taken a 60% drawdown on that first spike up, and then you would have been selling the complacency bounce for maybe a 40-50% drawdown overall. So if you're using the weekly to get out because it fails the Keynesian or something, it's going to be a hard time. So if you wanted to do that, you might sell below the Tinkin and try to bid the Keynesian, or it's just difficult. It's difficult. You're never going to catch 100% of the trend, but when you go to the weekly, you're really not going to catch like as much of the trend.
And one of the few things that's besides the 20 SMA that's telling me we're okay so far is the fact that we're still above 50 on the weekly RSI.
Yeah. Because look at that 2016, 2017 50 RSI floor. Like it was just
right. Exactly.
Beefy.
If we cross below that multiple weeks, it's done. We're done. That's it. We're going to go wherever we're going to go. I don't care what you can say, whatever you want.
Do you think Bitcoin could start to fail that stuff and go down, and ETH stays in a bull market?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
That's the real potential for the flippening is if ETH somehow stays strong while Bitcoin does that.
I have a hard time thinking that BTC dropping another 25 to 50% is going to be bullish for ETH. You know?
Yeah, I don't think it'd be bullish, but on a relative basis, it might actually flip in Bitcoin.
So that's the weekly, but the daily cloud again, like right now, I traded this trade here in October, told me to go long. This trade here told me to close that long in May 5th. So it gives you plenty of time to get out. And now it's telling you to do nothing. There is no trade here.
It's telling you to do nothing, or if you didn't act on that, it would actually be telling you you can still act on that, right? Like you don't have to sell the capitulation move down on a local low time frame, but the daily time frame on the cloud is telling you you still are in a position to exit longs if you're in them.
Right.
It's not telling you to short. It's telling you anywhere in there you can just exit your longs.
And at this point, we could literally just range from 46 to 55 indefinitely till a decision figures itself out.
That would be so hilarious.
And VPVR tells you the exact same thing. Like,
yeah, it's just building a massive profile there.
There's the range, folks.
And if
like,
we fall down that 34 to 38K 200-day moving average, I mean, this is a very rounded top potential reaccumulation, and nobody knows which one it is, right? Like if it's a top, then we'll have to go find the floor. If it's a reaccumulation, then it's just a ugly accumulation pattern while you wait for a breakup, and you sit there in the no trade zone until it tells you to get in. That is it's such an interesting chart when you compare it to what's going on in ETH, because ETH is just insane. Like every dip getting bought like crazy. The all-time high retest back here at 1300 got bought up, even though it was painful. Like it just did this wedge up break down, go to the all-time high retest, and then after that, just basically dips got bought. And when it really broke above like 2300, it just didn't stop. We didn't even really have a down day until 2 days ago, which looked like it could be potentially toppish, like that type of wick. I know this is hard to see. I'm sorry I didn't zoom out too much for the people on video. Like that looked pretty toppish, but it doesn't make it a top. This could just be consolidation before it makes another leg. I don't know.
Wait, I'll say this though: when ETH is done, it's gonna have. I don't want to be the doomer. I don't want to be the scary guy, but it's gonna have a massive elevator down. It just is, because fees are hot. Fees are gonna go extremely high, and you're just gonna see waves and waves and waves of selling. As people start to say, okay, I got to sell here, but fees are too high. Fees go up, price goes down. People start to panic even more.
If you told me, pick place to buy right now, like you're not in ETH, you're just waiting, what's the dump that you want? If I'm looking on a weekly time frame, it's telling me to buy ETH at 2K.
Yep, exactly.
So that's 100%. A little scary.
It's a 50% move.
That's down. A 50% move down. And that could happen. People would be shook. DeFi would go down by 70 or 80% in that scenario. I don't think the market is like expressing that that's what the sentiment is right now. Like I look at Aave, it's making new highs. Like so the stuff derivative of ETH, right? I look at the fundamental stuff, it's all very strong. I look at Sushi, it's showing strength. I look at Curve, it looks like it finally wants to kind of break out. I look at Wi-Fi and it finally broke out. So like we're seeing strength in DeFi after multi-month consolidation. That's really not a likely, okay, well the ETH ecosystem is topping. Like that's maybe ETH itself could start going sideways while that rotation to DeFi occurs, because people did get very overweight ETH as DeFi continued to struggle. Maybe they both go up together. I don't know. I don't think there's a great fundamental case for like ETH crapping itself, you know? But if it does, like you say, the profit taking will be swift. The first 20 or 30% would probably be like almost instantaneous, like one day. Yeah, and Bitcoin could be a drag on that. The legacy market could be a drag on that. There's a lot of things that could be a drag on it. I will say the legacy market,
which is why you want to be selling on the way up, not on the way down when everybody is panicking.
It depends on how you approach that. Like you might take profit on your margin longs on the way up. You might put a little bit on the side on the way up. But then for my situation, I would say I would also want to maintain exposure to capture upside as it continues. And I don't think we're even very frothy on DeFi stuff yet. Like it's just like DeFi stuff's just going, but ETH is frothy and BTC is weak. Like when I just look at it.
Well, let me make an analogy. You know, it's like winter is coming, and I'm telling you, you need to start buying some winter jackets. I need you in some long pants.
So you think the end of the whole cycle is?
I need you to be ready. That's all I'm saying.
You think the entire cycle is near done?
I'm saying, look, there's a lot of preppers in this community. Be prepared, okay, folks. Be prepared. I don't want anybody to be surprised when this does things that nobody wants it to do. Okay. I'm just saying, keep your mind open for this possibility. When I look at that Aave chart, it looks like Aave's ready to have another January in June, right? Like Aave, that chart looks insanely bullish to me.
Insanely. That's why I'm not like, I refuse to take your sentiment seriously right now. Cause like these are the blue chip assets in all of crypto. It's not just DeFi blue chip, because DeFi is blue chip. And within DeFi, Aave is blue chip. This is the elite asset class of all crypto. And it just consolidated for February, March, April, May. Almost 4 months, right? I am not selling as these make new highs into that. I am riding that train for at least a double. Thank you, sir, very much. Look at Wi-Fi. Just look at this chart. Look at Wi-Fi BTC. Because you're friendly neighborhood ledger status.
Wi-Fi is not a chart that anybody needs to be looking at. Sorry.
Your friendly neighborhood ledger status.
The freaking dev says it shouldn't be worth anything. Okay.
Your friendly neighborhood ledger status said.
You go ahead and log that all day.
He said, you can find it. You can clip this show. He said, the trip from 1 BTC per Wi-Fi to 1.5 BTC per Wi-Fi is easy mode. Look it up. And what was it? It was a 2-day super pump. Are we now in easy mode? Not as easy, but clearing 1.5 takes us to 2. That's the next trade. And I'm holding for it because at the same time, the USD chart broke all resistance and it went from 50K to 95K back to 60K, which happened to be a perfect retest of the breakout. And we're back where we were, 78, 79K. It looks so good. So good. I will see you at 125.
Sure. Targets for Aave for me are 14. Based on what the market's tolerated. Past
it's your target's what on Aave?
1400.
1400.
Yeah, so it's 2x. I agree. Yeah. Do I think it's time to load the boat here? I'm less of a load the boat camp and be prepared to sell on the way up camp. You know, that's where I'm sitting.
Yeah. That's fine.
So look, if you want to load the boat, if you want to triple, quadruple down here, I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money. I'm just saying, be prepared. That's all I'm saying. Be prepared. I think Aave above. We're gonna top every fucking week. Sorry.
I think Aave above 1K is programmed. I think like sushi looks like it's about. Oh my god, what did I just do? Just fade it. Okay, never pressed that button before. Sushi looks like it's about to break out. Like it makes a new high over 1750, and all-time high would be at 22. On a relative basis, sushi versus uni is fundamentally undervalued, I think. And that's a 30% move just to get to prior all-time highs. If it goes to price exploration, sushi could be a double from here as well, or a triple. The fact that it's even possible that we have DeFi season number 2, DeFi summer number 2, makes me euphoric. Truly makes me euphoric, Josh. Put it in my life. Put it in my body. I need DeFi summer number 2.
I think SNX was another one that looked good.
Yes. Oh my gosh, SNX looks so good. Don't talk about it yet because I want it and I don't have it.
I'm trying to.
What I really want is I want Wi-Fi to like turbo pump, go to like 150K, and then I want to roll it all into SNX or sushi or something.
SNX looks like a 2x to me as well.
Yeah, it looks very good. And it has like really struggled. If you look at like what's funny about all of these, and I say funny as in, I mean very painful if you were in DeFi like me, like they got obliterated versus ETH. Obliterated. But it was, in a way, a perfect retest of DeFi Summer 2020, the origins of DeFi Summer 2020. May, June 2020 is right what we just retested back to on synthetics versus ETH. So that's like a very, very interesting concept there. And ETH was like 400 back then, and it went up 200-300% versus ETH. So if you think of, even if these bearish retest, it's like a plus 100% versus ETH. So that's got me excited, Josh.
Yeah, the DeFi stuff, the potential is very attractive.
Rotation to quality, please. Please. For my bags, for my family.
Trying to pull this up. Yeah, there's a lot of I've been talking about the ETH pairs on the videos I do for BNC because a lot of these they have this characteristic where they have like this bullish divergence, just massive downside into previous support, which is what you're mentioning about the previous DeFi rotation. So yeah, it looks good to me. I like it.
Yeah, and I think part of what's very difficult is when you look at, let I'm going to pull up two charts here, see if I can do side by side. If you look at, for example, Sushi versus BTC, it looks like it's about to break up. Looks like it's going to be amazing. You look versus ETH, and it looks like maybe it's just now bottoming. You know, like it, but it has just melted down versus ETH. You look at BTC, and it looks like it was never really a problem. But that's just because ETH was outperforming BTC so strongly. A lot of these charts looked really good versus BTC. Like they looked fine. They looked sideways, but ETH was just crushing. So ETH was the better trade all along, and now it's a matter of, okay, will we see rotation back into these coins? And then they have the opportunity to outperform BTC, outperform ETH, and Moon versus the dollar. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for DeFi Summer.
You mean you're looking for buying low and selling high?
Yeah, I'm looking for DeFi Summer 2.0. And in my mind, the charts support that. Will that be the end of the bear market? Is that the exit pump?
What?
The bull market? The bull market? Will that be the end of the bull market? Will that be the exit pump? Maybe. I don't know. I just want that move. You give me multiples of what we have right now, and I will be very happy. And you know what, Josh? We haven't even seen, like, think of the DeFi mid caps, right? Like real fundamentally solid DeFi projects that aren't these majors listed on Binance and stuff. Those things have been largely forgotten. So like it hasn't even rotated downhill yet. That's what really makes me think. Like you think what we've seen so far is stupid. Wait till some of the pumps that we've had rotate to true DeFi stuff, and then start rolling downhill within DeFi. Like I think there's a lot more potential than people think, even if we're in like the 7th or 8th inning or whatever, because that's where your money is made, right? Like that's where the most exciting stuff happens. So while we may be late, I also think we have the best opportunity of to come. I won't say of the year because January was insane, right? Like that initial repricing that we talked about so much in January was insane. The rotation trade that I missed, but a lot of people caught, like the Solanas and stuff, the layer 1 rotations, the Maddox, those were insane. But I think we're going to see some of these profits roll into DeFi, and I think it's going to be a hell of a move.
We've seen though that retail doesn't want DeFi; they want lottery tickets. So it's going to have to be institutional buying that gets us there. I think. I think retail could care less about anything DeFi. Yeah, the retail they don't care, right? If it's not on Robinhood, they don't care. If it's not some dog coin that's going up 10,000% a day, they don't care. You know.
I think those things work themselves out.
You think so?
Yeah. By the way, Coinbase is listing Doge. That was like part of a real earnings call for a public company.
Something else that they said was interesting, that they're going to list tokens before. It's basically like ICO direct listings, basically is how I took it. They're going to list coins before they've done anything.
Before their token generation event?
Yeah.
Really? So it's like a future almost.
It's just bizarre. Like they're just on board with the shitcoin buffet. The more better, the better. I don't know. Good for them. Good for them. Whatever it takes. Yeah, watch for Robinhood. We talked about this. When it happens, you'll know, but they're going to list something soon. They have to. They have an IPO coming up, right?
Robinhood?
Yeah.
I think if Robinhood doesn't put DeFi stuff on their platform, I'll be shocked.
I don't know if they can legally, but I don't really think that matters.
Coinbase can. If Coinbase can, Robinhood can.
Whatever they list, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah,
that's where the dumb money is going to go.
If they list something, it's going to turbo.
Yeah. Not to be that guy where they're like, oh, they're listing, we got to go all in. But
like right now, that's why Ethereum Classic, ETC, pumped only because it's on Robinhood.
And it's almost less of a people's Robinhood's money. less of a trader effect from Robinhood and more of a people like us saying it's on Robinhood, let's buy it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's this external effect where retail has access. They may not be the impetus for the move, just like the expectation from other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
bizarre. It's bizarre.
For sure. Someone in chat said Ledger is compromised. I don't know if they're talking about me or the hardware wallet. Talk about Musk. Elon Musk? I don't have anything to talk about. He's pumping his bags.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to say. Just bizarre behavior. Why would he fud his own $1 billion bag in Tesla, his own treasury? All this information was available when he bought BTC, and all of a sudden he's turning a new leaf. They're also looking at getting carbon credits or some garbage with their own car company. I don't know. It's all dumb. It's all stupid. Like I already said, the market was vulnerable enough to look for a catalyst, and that's what we got.
Yep.
So
I
kind of
don't.
is what it is.
So, Josh, I don't normally do this. I was talking to my buddy Crypto Cred, and he was asking me about what the moving averages say. So I normally look at the 20 and the 200. 20 very fast, 200 very slow. And I actually threw on the 50 and the 100 just to see. And this was one of the more interesting BTC charts because in these bull markets, the 200 just tends not to get tapped. It's too slow. The simple moving average, like the 20 week SMA has historically been solid, but the 200 is like a rare occurrence, and when it occurs, it matters a lot, but it just doesn't get tapped as much. Whereas in your more pedestrian dips on a daily time frame, the 100-day moving average was actually quite a good buy indicator for Bitcoin in 2017. Like not perfect, but pretty good, right? Like it didn't spend very many days below. So I think something to keep in mind maybe for your recapture trade is how many days do we spend below the 100-day moving average on BTC? And if it can't reclaim it, that would actually be a potential trigger for greater concern because we just dipped below it and now we're retesting the bottom side of it. So I would actually be comfortable over 55 or 56K as a reclaim of that 100-day moving average. And this is why, like, you just got to get used to one of these that you use. Like, it's not, I'm not saying somebody has to use, like, this is, what's that called? Where it's like you just switch around until you find something to fit your narrative, you know?
Curve fitting?
Yeah, curve fitting. Thank you. Like, it is a degree of curve fitting, but when you go back test, like, what were prior markets like with, you know, something similar, you can use that to your advantage to some degree. This isn't like a perfect moving average, but I like the fact that, like the 20 week, it was tapped, you know, several times in the prior bull market, and I want to keep an eye on that 100 day is all I'm really saying. Curve fitting aside, it aligns well with some other elements, and I feel like if Bitcoin gets above that 56-ish region, maybe it'll move up. But I want to keep an eye on that 100 day because if it spends too many days below that 100 day, I think like the risk of sub 40K Bitcoin is pretty real.
That's why sitting this out isn't, you're not going to miss the train one way or the other. If you want to look at some more back-tested things, look at the 1050 cross on the daily and look at the daily MACD. Together, these have an extremely high hit rate. Currently, both are bearish.
Yeah, and keep in mind, all these really do is they're just determining what's your momentum, like your fast and your slow moving averages. And when the fast one overtakes the slower one, it's this kind of moving average crossover, essentially saying the bearish momentum is outpacing the bullish momentum. And it allows you to like attempt to capture most of the trend while avoiding the worst part of downside. Now you may end up selling a bottom or something and have to wait until it gets back above, but you're going to miss the majority of the downside. So BTC is telling you to be cautious is all it's saying, while DeFi stuff is telling you like it's time to party. So it's a very, very complicated situation right now. It takes a lot of delicacy to navigate.
Yeah, it is very complicated because, again, I have a hard time thinking that everything's going to do well if BTC goes to 35. Like, if we go sub 40 on BTC, I just have a hard time seeing everything else doing fine. You know.
You know what would be interesting though is if everything doesn't like if the down moves are similar, right? Like if they're not so bad on DeFi, and then it does go to 35 or 40 or whatever, the up moves would probably be extraordinarily profitable for DeFi. You know what I mean? Like the spikes back up.
Yeah, I was just thinking like, do we want to trade these charts independently? Do we not want to trade them independently? Is BTC just dead for now and worth ignoring? You know, that's probably the case. But
I think I rather
but when
than
I
I
like
rather
when
than watching BTC, I'd rather watch ETH BTC.
that's fair, but like I can't say ETH BTC looks like a buy here because look at these candles.
No, of course not. It's just
I can't say ETH looks like a buy here. Look at these candles. Like 2000 is where I want to get in. I don't want to get in up here, right? So that's why I like the DeFi stuff here because all that stuff has consolidated while ETH BTC and ETH USD is mooning. So
yeah, like last week's ETH USD candle was like literally the up only logo. Just like open and close on the ends, and it's just, I mean, 2 weeks in a row of nothing but up. Just insane. I don't know. I wouldn't I wouldn't take new positions there, but I would take new positions in DeFi, and that's what's complicated. It's complicated. That's why that is where my exposure is. To be quite frank, like that's where I'm willing to take the risks. If it all rolls over,
so be it, right?
So be it. That's the risk I take. That's what you get. Got to put some money on the line if you want to make some money.
There you go. Yeah, I don't know. BTC, no man's land, ETH, stratosphere. Be careful. I'm happy selling on the way up, all the way to infinity from here on ETH. ETH BTC 0.1 looks fine. I don't even know at this point. DeFi looks good. Alts like LTC, I don't even know. I haven't really looked too much at some of these pairs.
Yeah, I don't care about LTC. Not even.
Yes, we know. You say it every week. Okay, if you say that your Wi-Fi is amazing every week, I'm allowed to look at LTC once for 5 seconds. Monero, same thing. Just be careful with all of these.
Though,
they pumped for so long.
I say I don't care about LTC, but it's legitimately the perfect risk reward here from a USD perspective. Like, it is the weekly 2017 closing high, $330. It looks like a perfect retest of it on a weekly basis. Like, legit. Like, if I was looking at this in any other market, if it wasn't named Litecoin, I would be like, all in, sir? Oh boy, you're looking at Zcash?
Yeah, just because I have so many people tagging me about the weekly cloud on Zcash. Yeah, I mean, the 3-day looks fine. Like, if you're going to be bullish on stuff, be bullish on stuff that looks like this, at least. I don't care that it's Zcash, but, this is what you want to see out of BTC. You want to see us poking through the cloud. One other thing I didn't mention on BTC, we do have a bull div on RSI and MACD on the daily. So maybe that'll be enough to save it. I don't know. But it just looks like it's going to be a range-bound situation for a while, which is even more bullish for alts, because alts can do stuff like this. They can actually recover, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It feels crazy saying I'm bullish alts after alts have gone up for 5 months on rotations.
Well, they've only caught up with BTC, right? Like, they haven't.
Yeah. That's true. Like, relative to all-time highs, like most of them are just kind of in catch-up mode, like getting back to their ranges from the bubble of 2017. So if you want to go like full stupid, then they'll make all-time highs relative to BTC, and like BTC dominance will go to like 20% or something. I don't understand that reality, like how that happens, but I'm definitely here for it.
Yeah, I mean, look at Cardano.
Oh God. That's the USD chart?
This is BTC.
BTC relative. Yeah, I think it hit all-time highs versus whatever. USD.
Yeah, it did.
I want to look at one more, and it's going to make you sick. I don't even know where to find it anymore. me see if I've got it.
Is it IOTA? Because I saw someone asking us about that.
No, not IOTA. It is.
Here's investment advice. Non-licensed investment advice. Don't trade IOTA. Okay.
It's
Just leave it alone.
It's XRP.
XRP. Okay.
XRP is consolidating bullishly at $1.50.
XRP is a binary option. If you think the SEC stuff's going to be bullish, buy it, hold it, forget about it. You know, if you think SEC is going to come crushing down on this, get rid of your XRP, get rid of your Stellar.
But what I can't understand,
if you think it can move before that happens, then trade it, right?
What I can't understand is, remember when like garlic bread was like the 10th richest person in the world for minutes when XRP went to like $3?
Mm-hmm.
How is that possible? How is it just chilling at 50% of that price? Like, what's his illiquid net worth, his paper net worth? Like, are we really thinking XRP is going to go to like $10 or something? Like, he'd be like richer than Elon Musk. I don't even know if Brad Garlic Bread would be that rich, but like somebody at Ripple would be. Like, it's insane.
It's not liquid though. That's the thing, right?
Yeah. How do they dump their bags?
Stellar looks good to me. It's breaking out of the range.
These all make me want to puke. Like,
but this is the product of uninformed retail, right? And plus rotation, plus wealth effect. You know, DeFi had its run, it had its fun. People are going to ignore it and look at stuff like this, right?
Yeah. I guess.
That's all I got. I don't know what else to say. What else happened? Square said they're not buying any more BTC. Cool. Sailor says he bought more BTC at 55K. Cool. A bunch of tech stocks look like junk to me. They all broke down below their 200-day moving average. I sold a bunch of them.
Can I show you one more chart? It's not. I don't want to talk about Elon Musk, but this forever chart of Doge BTC, like, what? It's sitting at 1100 sats, like just chilling. Like, it looks insane. Like, the greatest range trade of all time is so dead.
It's a new paradigm.
Like, are we now gonna be like, is 200 sat Doge the new 20 sat Doge? Right? Like,
Doge is gonna be a base pair.
It's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's
I showed this to someone that they told me, like, I need to get in Doge before it goes crazy or something like that. And I was like, bro, let me show you this chart. And they actually understood when they finally looked at it.
I mean, we're just early.
We're early. Yeah,
it's
we're early in the market.
Crazy that GME is up at 165 still, right?
Yeah. So, GME, literally $3, and now it's just hovering at 165.
So it's not super crazy to see Doge just sitting here.
It amazes me that these distribution cycles, because that's what this is, that they can be so strong, right? Like, this has just got to end up a slow drip from the rich to the retail for something like GME and in the future Doge or whatever. It's got to be.
Yeah, this isn't a store value, folks. Sorry.
Yeah, it's insane. They could fork it. They could turn it into proof of stake. They can get developers on it. Maybe then it'll go as a top 2. I don't care.
Honestly, surprised.
I'll never trade Doge again unless it's 200 sats.
I'm honestly surprised it hasn't been 51% attacked in some way yet, but I think the price is actually making it more secure because the miners are pointing more hash rate at it.
Well, it's merge mined with Litecoin.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, like, they're pointing more miners towards Script because they're so profitable at this point. So it's like getting harder and harder to 51% attack it.
I interviewed Charlie Lee and asked him about that, and he actually said that also just the startup cost to 51% attack, because you can't really rent that much hash power, so you have to buy all that equipment to then 51% attack it. It's just too much. Like, it's too much work to spin all that up. And then once you do, you hack it, and then all your stuff is worthless because you attacked it. So it's just too much. It's pretty secure. Proof of work can be pretty secure, even Litecoin.
Like Jack is saying in the chat, at this point, Doge hash rate is securing LTC instead of the other way around.
Charlie said that himself. It was hilarious.
It's true though, right? Like the miners are making more off Doge. I don't know if the block has. I don't think they do. There was this great graphic of mining rewards, LTC versus
I mean,
Doge.
miners are just making hand over fist. The same thing. One of my friends called me because friend of theirs or family member of theirs was looking to like put a bunch of money into mining equipment, and I was like, dude, no, no. Like this, I can't imagine a worse time to start doing that. You know, like to begin, why? Like it's just going to become more competitive and more stretched. You know,
Yeah, at this point you have to already be
you got to
in
be
it.
in, or else,
Yeah.
yeah, you're the you don't want to be that person getting in mining right now
Yeah.
because you'll be in a position of weakness when the market rolls over. And you'll end up being the one that's capitulating your hardware at a loss and all this. Like if you think there's upside, just buy the coin. You know, there's no infrastructure cost for buying the coin. In my mind, not financial advice. So
Yeah. Plus, you're gonna get stuck with the miner, the useless miner,
yeah, what are you gonna do with
and
this?
and the electricity bill.
I guess I don't really have anything else. Like I'm looking for markup in DeFi. I want DeFi summer number 2. I want. Please, sir. That's all I want between now and next week.
Yeah, it looks. If that Aave chart is any indication, the fact that we were breaking down bigly and Aave was pushing all-time highs, like that's probably all anybody needs to know as far as what's going on here, right? Like,
Well, you
it's
know
so bizarre, so bizarre that
they've
was.
got some institutional pools that require KYC to participate in, which is interesting. I think that's one of the big like adoption routes for DeFi stuff is to like make them more institutionally acceptable or something. And you'll have kind of these two worlds. One is the Aave protocol that's more Wild West, no KYC, whatever. And the other is the one where like there's some kind of interface for institutional participation and KYC and stuff, but you still get some degree of DeFi participation. I don't really know all the logistics of that, all of what makes sense and what doesn't, but I think that's what's out there.
Yeah, I saw an article from CoinDesk and the block talking about these institutional hedge funds looking to
They all
get
want in. They all want in on DeFi.
to not. They specified not just for the yield, but they actually want to buy and invest in the coin itself. So that if we see stuff like that, that's going to push this for sure.
Yeah, I will share one more thing real quick. It was a tweet from this morning because I was listening to the Animal Spirits podcast. Good podcast, by the way. Shout out Animal Spirits. And when I was listening to it, they were interviewing somebody, and this person was talking about DeFi stuff. So in response, I basically was saying, like, if under 1%, well under 1% of these institutional managers are allocating 1% of their portfolio to DeFi, then like that's still only the most progressive growth funds. But we are starting to see more people talking about allocating to Ethereum. And the narrative of going like from Ethereum to DeFi, it's part of the Ethereum bull case. So they're going to move like very quickly, in my mind, from Ethereum to DeFi. And therefore, like DeFi stuff getting on their balance sheet, whether that's locking it into yield farms or buying the token directly, whatever. They understand these cash flow models that DeFi is looking at. And when you look at that from a growth perspective and from a revenue perspective, and you start putting multiples to it, it's going to be very compelling for these more aggressive funds that are looking to allocate to crypto. It'll make much more sense to them than some of the like fundamental metrics that you're trying to apply to Bitcoin and even a network like Ethereum, because these have, app-based cash flows and stuff. And it's going to be, it's well under-owned in my mind. So I think I'm pretty sure I'm not willing enough to like just park my money there and leave it forever, but I'm pretty sure there will be coins that we look back at like 10 years from now and we'll just be like, oh my gosh, what if we just held those X number of Aave that we had back then, or something like that. Even though there'll be these large cycles in between, I just think that some of these are going to go absolutely ballistic over a long time frame because the technology's there and people want into it.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that with anything, right?
Right.
That was exactly why BTC is here today, where it's at. people held through all the crazy volatility, all the crazy up cycles, down cycles. Previous all-time high is 20K. We're now at 60K, 50K, whatever it is. That's all part of it. One last thing I'll say, when you're talking about revenue, the traditional CFI people look at this and they're licking their chops for sure. Looking at the unis, the sushis, the aves, the compounds. When they look at the protocol revenue Maker has, this is definitely where it's at for the CFI people.
Yeah.
Because like you said, they can quantify this and see like, okay, Maker is protocol revenue is X. This is the blah, blah, blah,
And once you put these platforms on scalable layer 2s, it's insane, right? Like the number of people right now are talking about like how much BSC's been used or whatever, except for like a lot of people are going there. Transactions counts have been insane, etc. The level of trust with ETH layer 2, the number of people that are going to use these existing strong ETH protocols on layer 2 is going to be way more than what you see on these temporary pumps for something like BSC, where it's highly speculatively driven. The degree that bringing down the fees, pulling up the scalability, the positive impact that's going to have on this DeFi ecosystem cannot be, said too much in my mind.
Yeah, that's why if you think CFI is going to get disrupted legitimately, what does it matter what the price is today? Because it's going to be a blip in 5 to 10 years,
Yep. I'll just end up looking at like that fees.wtf website and just wonder like, oh my gosh, like I spent so much money on fees trading this. I could have held any one of them and had more money, because I just was in constant disbelief as it went up.
Some things I'll plug before we go. youtube.com/BraveNewCoin, youtube.com/CarpeNoctem, CarpeNoctem on Twitter. You can check out my version of Ledger's token sets on enzyme.finance. We just started this one in April 9th, so a bit later than Ledger's DeFi stuff for sure, and much different in that it's more of a broad swath and not necessarily like concentrated rotations. We also have an ETH BTC version of this as well, non-custodial portfolio management. That's it. That's all I got.
Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks everybody for being with us. We'll do a post show for the Twitch folks for a minute. I think I got a minute. And if you weren't with us live, that's okay, but you can be on twitch.tv/ledgerstatus. Of course, these episodes also go on audio. They go on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter. Oh, that's the wrong music.
I was going to say, that's an interesting song.
All that stuff. Thanks for being here, y'all. We'll catch you next time, okay?
Monuments crumble in the blink of an eye. The easy river has just run dry. In a house of cards, I feel the breeze wound so tight I can barely breathe.